Welcome back to the Lost Ledgers. I am Shawn. I am joined here by Justin, whose forehead is very cut off,
Yo, hold up. There we go.
and
That's better.
and Adam below him. How you
Hi.
guys doing?
Oh,
And fantastic.
pretty good. I didn't go to work today, so that's a
Hell
that's a
yeah.
big improvement over most Wednesdays.
Hell yeah. Fuck the system. Anyway, what Justin were you gonna say? I hope it's good. I hope you make me laugh. What's it gonna be?
I'm just glad to be back here. That's all.
Oh yeah, welcome back to Justin, who has not been on the stream in 2 months almost.
That's true.
Feels that way. It's been a very long time. I'm just trying to center my camera a little better here.
Justin has kicked Zach off the podcast.
I have.
So
I
he
have
can come back.
There can be only 3. It's not really Highlander, but it reminds you of Highlander.
Well, this week we are going to be working on developing a spooky subclass together, starting from the very beginning in just the inciting idea. We haven't decided what the theme for the subclass is going to be, besides that it's going to be spooky. So I'm hoping I'm not the only one who brought some ideas for that along to the podcast for us to choose from.
I have an idea and a half. I've got one that I think could be really cool, and one that is kind of half-assed, but it feels like it might be something.
It feels like it could be something.
I mean, we're workshopping it on stream, so it doesn't need to be super well developed. So if I say the words and you guys are like, "Oh wait, you're an idiot," that's actually great. Then I'll be like, "Okay, let's go."
I asked Zach. I was like, "Hey, what are we supposed to be doing for the podcast?" And he's like, "Well, I'm not going to be there, but it was something to do with subclasses, like creating a subclass on stream." So I was like, "Okay, perfect." Didn't realize that it was supposed to be a spooky subclass, but I'm sure we'll come up with something.
Wait, did you make a subclass?
No, I did not make a subclass.
Okay.
I was trying to spitball ideas in my head for a subclass. Could never get that. Could never come up with something decent. So.
Okay.
So Justin didn't bring anything, is what he's telling you.
All right.
I've got nothing.
So that leaves me and Adam. Adam, what was your fool idea that you had?
So the idea that I liked better of the two was a monk who is sort of not necessarily guided by spirits, but uses the power of spirits. And specifically the flavor I wanted to go for was a monk who is sort of tasked with guiding spirits into the afterlife. So this might be a monk who has a sort of complicated relationship with spirits and the undead, in that he draws power from them, but is also tasked with sending them on to their eternal rest.
Interesting. That's a very specific idea.
It is a super specific idea. I remembered the word psychopomp, and I was like, oh man, that could be a really cool monk.
Is that going to be the word of the day? Psychopomp?
It would have been if I hadn't said it this early in the podcast.
That hasn't stopped you before.
You're right, it hasn't, but I'll try to think of something else. Psychopomp might be the word of the day. I'm going to keep you all on your toes.
Well, my ideas were just pretty much just taking classic, tropey monsters and turning them into subclasses. Like, the one I mentioned last week was a Dr. Frankenstein type subclass that, made flesh golems or something. Which, I mean, to be clear, subclasses that you make can often be just reflavorings of existing subclasses. But if you didn't make subclasses, then you wouldn't have more subclasses.
And we all want more subclasses.
Yes, absolutely. Because you could definitely flavor the necromancy wizard to be a Dr. Frankenstein type or something.
Yeah, sure.
Or I guess the subclass doesn't exist anymore, but the Artificer had that golem subclass.
Oh yeah, what was that? The Battlesmith? No, the Battlesmith is one of the ones that made it to the print.
Yeah,
I remember.
I
think they had something like that. Maybe making it out.
Are you gonna stay focused today, Shawn?
I'm having a hard time. I turned off the autofocus for my webcam and it did nothing. So I'm hoping it's not too much of a problem. And I also have the idea of like doing sort of like a Jekyll and Hyde classic creepy thing, like a back and forth, maybe like a barbarian subclass or a artificial subclass or something like that.
See,
I think Jekyll and Hyde Barbarian would be super cool. But I feel like that would do a lot of overlap with the Beast Path Barbarian. So I would, let's see, what other class? Oh man, what if it was a Jekyll and Hyde Druid and it was a thing that you could do with your wild shape?
Ooh, that's interesting. I had to consider Druid, but yeah, they have like a whole system for changing their shape, and that would make sense. That'd be pretty cool.
My half-assed idea was a like witch bloodline sorcerer.
Oh yeah, which is classic Halloween shit.
Yeah.
That would be fun. Which bloodline? So like pulling from maybe like hags and stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah.
That's
But like I said, that one was kind of half-assed. That was mostly just me thinking like, hag bloodline sorcerer?
I mean,
and that's as far as I got with it.
that is pretty interesting.
Honestly, I could see us working on any of these. These all seem like totally workable ideas.
Yeah.
What are you guys leaning towards?
What are you leaning towards, Justin? Because you brought nothing.
I really like the half-ass idea of a hag bloodline, hag's like sorcerer bloodline.
Okay.
We could totally do that.
Why are we just going up? You can also like say like, oh no, I think we could do this.
I mean, it was one of my ideas, so I'm fine with it. And like I said, I feel like any of the four of these would totally be workable, and we kind of need to decide pretty quickly which one we're working on.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm down with the hag bloodline sorcerer. That sounds cool.
Well, and we can always keep these in our pocket and develop them later. Like, these are ideas that we can do something with later. So for Sorcerer, you get a feature at level 1. You get a feature at level 6. And then you get a feature at level 14 and 18. So 1, 6, 14, and 18 are the levels for Sorcerer features.
1, 6, 14, 18. Cool. All right. So the first thing I want to do here is go to D&D Beyond and look up some hags.
That is exactly what I'm doing.
Just to see, and what I'm doing is looking at the features that sorcerers get at level 1 from some of their other subclasses, and seeing what kind of power level we're looking at.
I just wanted to get a clearer idea of like the flavor, maybe the goal of the subclass.
Sure, yeah.
I was thinking maybe we could incorporate covens somehow. Maybe the sorcerer can induct their party members into their coven and like give shared bonuses between them or something. That'd be kind of cool.
That could be interesting.
I'm actually pulling up the monster manual from one of our drop boxes. So that way I can.
There are a lot of hags in the game, so there's a lot to go off of here.
There are, which part of me is a little bit concerned about like what page is this? 176. Okay. Of like kind of adopting a similar style as like the Draconic ancestry, since there is so many hags. But I think if we just kind of go off of a general basis of like what hags do as like a whole.
Right, that's the thing. I think that it should be more like thematically evocative of hags in general, instead of taking from a bunch of them in particular. And this might be sacrilege, but I think that the Draconic Bloodline Sorcerer is kind of a half-assed design.
You're not wrong.
One thing that's definitely common between the hags is something with their appearance. They usually have some sort of way of guising their appearance or having different kinds of appearance. I know one of the lore bits about hags is that they want to be ugly, which is kind of an interesting thing. But they also have magical, like the green hag has illusory appearance. I think night hag has changed shape. The sea hag has illusory appearance. So they all have some ability to change the way that they look.
So I'm thinking that probably disguise self and alter self should be subclass spells.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Well, I'm going through like the different sorcerers right now because like there's not a whole lot of sorcerers that like actually get subclass spells.
Actually, all of them except the PHB ones get subclass spells.
Yeah. From what I
Wait,
remember.
the Storm Sorcerer and the
Oh, sorry. Xanathar's ones also don't, except
Only-
Divine Soul, which gets the entire cleric spell list. But yeah, all of the ones published after Xanathar's have subclass spells.
Okay,
And
yeah, 'cause-
one of the 3 in Xanathar's does.
And
Yeah,
regardless of that, I want to get them subclass spells because sorcerer should have subclass spells.
Yeah,
all right, I agree.
Yeah, the PHB Sorcerer, as well as Storm and Shadow, they're all kind of weak because they don't have the subclass spells. The spells known for Sorcerer are just way too low.
Yeah, so let me go ahead and add a table here for our subclass spells.
So looking at a coven,
Ooh, actually, what do we name the name of this? Just like Hag Bloodline or Haggish?
Let's see.
uh,
So
What are some interesting words for crone?
Crone is
Crone, that's
Crone
something.
Bloodline's good. That's
So wait, so the sorcerers, the subclass is actually called Sorceress Origin, right? It's not always a bloodline.
That's true. It's called an
It's
origin.
the Sorceress Origin, but there's
Yeah, they
the
all have different.
Draconic Origin.
There's Clockwork Soul. There's Divine Soul. Like they have different like
Wild
names.
Magic.
Yes, Soul is pretty common. Soul is on 3 of them, and then there's a Baron's
What about
Mind.
what about like Coven Blood?
I mean, we could
Or
just also
Hag Heart?
Hagheart. You know what? Let's mull on the name. We can always come back to it.
I'll just put Coven Blood for now, just so we have a filler in.
Sure, yeah.
okay.
Coven
So,
Blood.
like, looking
spells.
at what covens get, or what hags get when they're a part of a coven, these are some interesting spells that some of them get. Like, first level is Identify and Ray of Sickness. Ray of Sickness makes sense. Identify, it's a little interesting.
Well, I think Identify is sort of playing off of the fact that hags are supposed to be relatively knowledgeable. Like, hags are supposed to be people that you can come to with questions and get answers at a price, but you could get answers. So, like, Identify is sort of playing into that that advisor role that hags might play.
Okay.
So I don't think I'm being controversial here when I add Disguise Self and Knock Yourself to the spell list, right?
Absolutely not. I think those are slam dunks for the spell list. And most of the sorcerers get 2 at each level.
Yeah.
So let's see here for what other options. And they aren't even always on the sorcerer spell list, so don't let that.
Yeah, no. We also, I mean, we'll talk about like more specific flavor stuff, but there's also almost entirely all of the newer subclasses have like the like manifestations or whatever, like like how it comes to being. Like the Clockwork, for instance, has like you'll have like cogwheels hover behind you, which I never saw before, which sounds pretty cool actually.
Yeah. Let's see.
Let me make a features table here.
I don't know. I'm always bad at coming up with, the little flavorful bits.
Yeah. And that's
like
stuff that really we could do
subclasses.
off of podcast if we don't have enough time. But I think that's something we can leave off to the very end, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, not sorcerer spell, sorcerer level. And then wait. Yeah, spells. Spells. Okay. And then I want another table for the features specifically. Coven Blood features. I think I'm pretty on the train of giving them some sort of Coven ability, maybe at 6th level, maybe not first.
Yeah, I was thinking 6th would be a good place to introduce the Coven as like the mechanical through line for the rest of the class's advancement. So like maybe at 6th level they get the Coven, and then like 14th level they get an improvement to it.
Ooh. what if you could use your coven to give other creatures like meta magic like abilities?
Interesting. So the thought that I had was that like creatures you designate as being in your coven could, on some level, sort of use their spell slots to benefit one another. I
Oh,
was
that
just
would
trying to
also be
think of
cool.
I was trying to think of a way to expand that so that it's useful to non-spellcasters.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Uh,
what I was thinking too. Because when I said the meta magic thing, I was like, but how would you use that as a barbarian,
What
for
what
instance?
if what if we came up with like a small table of things that that creatures a part of the coven could do. So like for example,
oh,
like
what?
short range teleportation.
uh,
Uh,
Yeah, what if it's like maybe just a table of 4 or maybe 6 effects, and anyone in the coven can use a reaction to let someone else in the coven do one of those things?
Ooh, interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I like where that's going.
So that way,
Um,
it's always a sort of team focused thing. Like you can use your reaction so that your fighter can get 20 feet closer, or like you can use your reaction to I don't know, give somebody advantage on an attack or something. Like
right. Wait,
I guess
did did Tasha stop using like tables to list out like features for class subclasses?
I don't know. I honestly I don't own Tasha's, so I haven't
uh,
looked at it super closely.
It looks
what do
like it.
you what do
In
you
in
mean?
Xanathar's, at the start of every subclass, there'll be a table that says at this level you get these two features, at this level you get this feature. Just like
Oh,
mini
right.
class tables almost.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
Um,
Yeah,
it doesn't look
I
like the
did.
Tashas have those.
Yeah, I don't think they put those in Tasha's.
How silly.
Yeah, that's
Although that's surprising because they would have needed a full class table for Artificer anyways. So like it's weird that they decided not to include it.
them. Well, I'm checking. Let me check the artificer right now to
Well,
see
they
if they.
probably included the class table, just not the subclass tables.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that like since the Artificer needed a full class table anyways, why couldn't they include the like 5 or 6 lines that a subclass table would be?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I
All
don't
right.
know
Um,
why they would.
But what do we want the defining first level feature to be? We know that hags change their appearance. We know that hags typically have some sort of attachment to maybe the ethereal plane. We know that they often operate in covens. We're thinking about putting that at sixth level.
yeah.
Um, we already did that. We already established that the changing appearance with Sky Self and Ultra Self. So I don't know if we need to double dip on that with first level.
So generally at first level you get your subclass spells and then like 2 smallish features.
Yeah,
Because like Aberrant Mind gets telepathy and something else, I think.
Uh,
Um
they get. No, they don't. They only get the telepathy at level 1.
yeah. They get telepathic
uh
speech and then psionic sorcery at sixth level.
oh, okay. I thought they had 3 things at first level. I may have just been misreading the table because sorcerers have a ton at first level. So
They get
Yeah,
a ton. Yeah, let me just go to. Yeah, like yeah, they just get like they get 2 things. In PHB anyways.
okay. So that's the thing. So spells and then maybe 1 stronger feature or 2 weaker ones. Um
What about so banking back to the idea of the ethereal plane? What about uh what about them turning either invisible or or something or something similar along the lines of the blur spell where they pop into the ethereal plane for like a turn.
That's blink, not blur. But I like where your head's at. I'm not sure because blink is a second level spell, right?
I
Correct.
think yeah, I think it's second. Yeah,
That's the thing. Blink and invisibility both are stronger than what you normally have access to at first level. But
But let's say that they're able to uh go into the ethereal plane uh as like as an action and at the either start or end of their next turn they will reappear in the material plane. And then they cannot do this again until they finish like a short or long rest, or spend a sorcery point to do so.
Well, they wouldn't have sorcery points at first level, so we can't do that. Well, I guess it's kind of weird to give them an ability that can proc a sorcery points at first level, but I guess you could just say at second level you could start spending sorcery points to do this.
What if? I mean, this doesn't quite fit mechanically with other implementations of like etherealness, but what if you could give yourself like resistance to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage for, say, a turn once per rest or once per long rest?
Like as a reaction to being hit or something?
I was thinking either a reaction to being hit that lasts until the start of your next turn, or a like bonus action sort of defensive thing that you take. Like,
I could see it being like a reaction thing, like kind of like the spell shield,
right?
Like a kind of like an ethereal wisp almost. Just kind of like absorbing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Just like sort of partially shifting into the ethereal plane to like lessen the damage.
I think I might like what Justin said, honestly, because I'm thinking about the trickery cleric domain where they could go invisible for a turn, and this would be kind of like that, but instead of invisibility, it's etherealness. And
also, furbolgs get it too.
Right, yeah, furbolgs get it as a
too.
racial feature, yeah.
And it'd be interesting because that has a lot of uses in and out of combat. In combat, it's a good escape option, and out of combat, you can like go through a wall or something, but it's only lasting for a turn, so you can't abuse it like a lot. I'd probably want to limit it to like once per long rest.
Yeah, I think once per long rest is totally reasonable for that, especially since it's only 6 seconds in the ethereal plane. Like,
because you can get a lot from those 6 seconds.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Like, you can go through walls and shit.
You can definitely use it because it's like it's kind of invisibility plus for.
Well, that was gonna be my question. Do we want to be like we go into ethereal plane physically, but do we want to leave like maybe an after image so it's not like actually invisibility? It's just the ability to get out of combat and get through walls and stuff, or do we want both?
Honestly, I like it better if there is still an after image of you. Like, it's less powerful that way, and I think that brings it down to the level of what a first level ability should
That's
be.
what I was thinking too. That'd be kind of cool. Here, let me write something up real quick. I
mean,
I'll write down just the mechanical stuff. I won't down any of the probably as an action.
Sounds good, yeah.
You
step into the ethereal plane or shift.
Let me just see how the ethereal stuff works for. Is the Night Hag that has that?
The Night Hag...
You magically enter the ethereal plane from the material plane or vice versa. To do so, the hag must have a hurt stone in possession. Okay. So as an action, you can enter the ethereal plane.
Soul bag.
The soul bag that was present in my campaign.
Weird. I wonder what happened to
that. As an action, you can enter the ethereal plane. How do I want to word the after image?
You step as an action. You step into the border regions of the ethereal plane, but a faint image of you remains visible on the material plane.
While on the ethereal plane, a visible, what's a word for like an ethereal body that doesn't use the word ethereal?
Spelling
ethereal.
Echo, but the Echo Knight is a thing.
A visible spectral. Spectral can work. A visible spectral. A spectral visage. A spectral visage of your form remains on the material plane. How do we word that this material, like this visage, is like where you are in the material plane, as if you were on the ethereal plane? Like they're always parallel to each other.
the visage moves on the material plane as you do in the ethereal.
Okay, yeah.
Or maybe the visage echoes your movements in the material plane.
Your movement in the visage echoes your movement in the material plane. I'll put this at the end of the thing so it's a little more clear. So as an action, you enter the ethereal plane until the end of your next turn. The end of start. Do you want to end or start?
I think start, because this is probably going to be the first thing you do on your turn. And so I'd like for you to stay there through the round of combat for the enemies as a defensive option, but I don't think that you should stay there through the end of your next turn.
Okay. As an action, you can enter the ethereal plane until the start of your next turn. While on the ethereal plane, a spectral visage of your form remains on the material plane. Or, I guess material... Does material just refer to the current plane that you're on? Or is that specifically like the Earth plane?
Material specifically refers to the Earth plane, but the problem is the ethereal plane doesn't mirror the other planes as it does the material. So, like, if you step into the ethereal plane from the plane of fire, you aren't going to be on, like, an ethereal copy of the plane of fire. You're going to be on an ethereal copy of the prime.
Is that true?
I mean, maybe my lore's not up to snuff, but I was under the...
I believe what happens when that you can only enter the ethereal plane. Well, I think you can enter if you like cast like the spell to go to the ethereal plane. You can go there, but
I mean, can you? Because etherealness specifically says enter the ethereal from the material, or vice versa, doesn't it?
Does it?
No, the etherealness says you step into the border of the region of the ethereal plane in the area where it overlaps with your current plane.
Oh, okay, so the ethereal does overlap all of them. You remain at the border ethereal. Right, because you're not technically in the ethereal plane, you're in the border ethereal.
Yeah, maybe I should read that then. You enter the border regions of the ethereal plane until the start of your next turn. Or
honestly, maybe say you enter the ethereal plane as the etherealness spell until the start of your next turn.
Yeah, that'd probably be the simplest. As the etherealness spell.
This spell has no effect if you cast it while you are on the ethereal plane, or a plane that doesn't border it, such as one of the outer planes. So the outer planes you can't go to the ethereal plane from, but the elementals you could.
I was going to mention that.
Do we want to make it then that instead of you going to the ethereal plane, you just turn into a spectral form? So that's not useless in the outer planes?
I think if you're in the outer planes, you're having more issues than your level 1 feature not properly working.
I suppose that's true.
Yeah, I guess it would but the thing is, like, so let's say that you're playing a module like Descent into Avernus, where you are thrust into the outer planes very early in the module. Like, I mean, we're not wizards, so we don't necessarily have to worry about 100% compatibility with modules, but there is a module where you're thrust into the outer planes super early, and so losing your level 1 subclass feature would be kind of rough for that.
Well, to be fair about that is that, like, when it comes to modules, you really should... That should be something that you discuss with your DM, and there are some subclasses that already exist that could be nullified by certain modules.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, you would just not want to be this subclass if you're playing one of those modules, I suppose.
Yeah, that's the thing. You wouldn't want to use this feature if you were playing Descent into Avernus, but,
The thing is that there is a mechanical difference between the two, because if you step into the ethereal plane, you can see things in the ethereal plane that you wouldn't be able to see if you just turned spectral.
Right.
But then
I guess it depends on how strong we want the ability to be. Yeah. Because the ability is stronger, but it is easier to turn off if it's just as the etherealness spell. The ability is weaker, but more consistent if it's just you become spectral.
Yeah. I was thinking, actually, I think I prefer them stepping into the ethereal plane, because I think it's just more flavorful to the hag. The hag
I
is,
agree.
because then you turning into a ghost seems more like an undead flavoring than a hag flavoring to me.
Yeah.
What do you think, Justin?
Flavoring wise, I think that I agree with you. I think I like the concept more of actually stepping into it as like the ethereal, as if like the etherealness spell.
Yeah.
But I can see the merit for essentially like you're a spectral version of yourself.
Yeah. Well, and I think that people will probably, rightly so, be skeptical when they see you say on a first level feature as this 7th level spell.
So if we just say you enter the ethereal plane as the Ethereal on a spell, then all we have to do is change the caveat of the ethereal spell, which specifies that creatures can only see you if you're on the ethereal, or they're on the ethereal plane, to pretty much the opposite of that. Like anybody can
Right,
see
yeah.
you.
Creatures on the plane that you left can still see a shadowy image of you as if you were there, or something to that effect.
Yeah, I'm just gonna counter because it says creatures. What does it say? Creatures that aren't on the ethereal plane can't perceive you and can't interact with you unless a special ability or magic is given the ability. So I could just say creatures that aren't on the ethereal plane can still perceive you.
Well, but that would give creatures on other planes the ability to see you when you use this feature. I think you should specify creatures on the plane that you left.
Okay. Creatures. Well, yeah. I mean, that's. I guess semantically it would imply that, but I think I don't know. I think, or not semantically. Yeah, semantically it would imply that, but I think in practice it's pretty clear. But I
Yes,
think
in practice, it would almost. I cannot even construct a pathological situation where it would matter because you are specifically put into the border ethereal as it overlaps with your current plane.
yeah.
So someone would have to be.
I'll just say creatures
I-
creatures on the plane you entered from can still perceive you as a spectral form.
Sure, yeah.
Or can still perceive you as a spectral form on that plane.
Perfect.
And that should be good enough. And then once you use this feature, you cannot do so again until you finish a long rest.
Perfect.
Until you finish a long rest. I think I might want to tweak how often you can use it to be able, because I like the thing in Tasha's where a lot of features are like, oh, but you could also spin this if you want to use it again.
Yeah.
I want to leave it as this for now, so you can move on to other features. But I think maybe we should go back to that and maybe think about if there's an appropriate way to.
Yeah, I agree with what you mentioned earlier that it'd be kind of weird to give you a sorcery point way to reuse this since you don't have them at level 1.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe a spell slot because it is only a round, but it's also kind of strong because Etherealness is a 7th level spell, and getting that for a round is still pretty good.
Yeah,
but you do lose very big things with this versus the Etherealness spell.
The thing, like the fact that it's 8 hours versus 6 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, yeah, we can come back to it, but I think that maybe like you can spend a first level spell slot to do this again.
Yeah. I'll also just name it Ethereal Step.
And that's actually the name I was going to suggest, so I'm fine with that.
Ethereal Step.
So
I have an idea for another first level spell.
Okay.
Give him. I think
Dissonant
Whispers.
Dissonant Whispers. That's pretty good. I think that tracks. I was what was I looking at? I had the spell list up and then I went back to the sorcerer class table.
I really like it because it's not a sorcerer spell already. Well, let me double check actually with Tasha's. No, it's not. So it's not a sorcerer spell already. So I like being able to give like subclass features like the ability to kind of cast spells outside of their subclass.
Sure, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was thinking either I was looking at Hex as an option, but the Aberrant Mind Sorcerer already gets that, so I wasn't super sold on it.
Hex totally could have. Oh, I think maybe Bestow Curse should be a pretty obvious third choice.
Bestow
Yep.
Curse would be awesome at
That's-
level 3.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that the covens get all together.
Let's see.
So I think that
Brilliant.
fits pretty well.
Um,
6th level ability. Any ideas?
Oh, so I'm thinking, I like the idea of a short list of possible benefits.
Right.
And I'm thinking, when you finish a long rest, you can designate a number of creatures equal to your proficiency bonus as members of your coven.
Ooh, you can choose. Do you have to be able to see them, or is it just any creatures you can think of?
I think it should be any creature you can think of, but you should need line of sight to use the reaction.
Okay.
That way you
Okay.
can designate someone who's not with you, but as long as you're with them in combat.
So,
when you finish a long, or wait, yeah, when you, I wanted to like flavor this as like a ritual. You can perform a ritual during a long rest to, induct creatures into your coven.
Sure, yeah. When you finish a long rest, you can perform a ritual to designate a number of creatures equal to your proficiency bonus as members of your coven.
Yeah, we can work on how that's phrased after. What was that?
I was gonna suggest like the time that we should do it. I think like 1 hour fits pretty well because that's
how long the ritual takes.
Yeah, because that's the same time that it takes for the coven itself to make like the Hag-eye. So I think that kind of fits a little bit with it. But also there is precedent for a 1 hour like ritualistic thing with the Forge Domain Cleric. That's how like at the end of a long rest they spend an hour essentially like.
I think that the timing largely doesn't matter, just based on how often people ignore that it technically takes you time to prepare your spells at the end of a long rest. Yeah. I think that the fact... Oh, also, you omitted a long rest after the verb finish.
Oh, when you finish.
I think that what's sort of the range that we're looking to do, that we're looking to like...
We're thinking just any creatures you can think of.
Well, I'm inside of combat.
Oh, probably like 60 feet. That's pretty standard.
Yeah, I was gonna say line of sight and 60 feet would probably be fine.
So if we do 60 feet, that is 30 feet bigger than the Hag Coven's like shared spellcasting thing.
I mean, we could reduce it to 30 feet. That's the thing. Like,
we haven't even decided what our benefits are going to be yet. We just know like we have an idea that you induct covens, and that gives you some sort of benefit that you can use maybe as a reaction. But we haven't even decided the benefit, because we're not just copying like the shared spells thing. We might do something else entirely. Shared spells seems like a pretty decent one to do, but I mean we could do most anything.
I do like the ability of
holy shit.
I was thinking, by the way, because you said proficiency bonus, I think I'm more on the side of doing charisma modifier, just so that you can still do your whole party at the very beginning of the campaign as well, instead of having to wait a few levels to be able to do that.
You would only have to.
I mean,
you'd only have to like wait.
It's only a one. Yeah, I was gonna say it's only a 1 point difference, so I could go either way on it.
True.
And also,
I guess maybe 2 if you've already got a 20 at level 6, but
yeah. What are you saying, Justin?
I was gonna say also too, because it's other creatures into your coven. So are you included in the coven itself?
I was gonna say you are always in the coven. You're designating other creatures.
Right. Yeah. So assuming a standard party equal to your proficiency bonus at level 6, your entire party is a part of the coven.
If you're playing a 4-person party, yes.
Right.
But it's not uncommon to play larger games than that. And I'm fine with it being charisma modifier. It'll... Honestly, if it's charisma modifier, it starts higher but won't get as high.
Yeah.
It probably doesn't make much of a difference. And so let's just do it as charisma modifier. That way you're more likely to be able to get your whole party in.
Modifier minimum 1. You can induct a number of creatures using your modifier amount of minimum 1 into your coven, and then we'll have to specify like.
So I would say other creatures and up to your charisma modifier.
Oh yeah, I would say up to number of creatures. Up to. Former creatures up to into your coven. Wait, what was your other?
Other creatures.
Oh yeah, you could form it to induct a number of creatures, a number of creatures other than yourself.
Yeah,
other than yourself. Into your coven, and then let's just go into the meat of what being in a coven gives the benefits of, and then we can talk about like how long the coven lasts and all that stuff later. So what do we want? What do we want this to do? What is the benefit of being part of this sorcerer's coven?
I was gonna say. So do we want this to be something? Do we want this to be kind of the core of the class, and kind of?
I'm not sure if this is going to be the core of the class, but I think that this is a robust enough feature that if we wanted to, we could totally have one of the later features simply be expanding or improving it.
Yeah.
But I don't think we need to. It's just that's a possible route that we're taking.
Okay.
But so what I was thinking of as the core benefit of the coven is any member of your coven can use their reaction on their turn. No.
I think on their turn works.
The problem is the benefits that we're granting might not necessarily make sense if you're giving it to somebody else on your turn. But members of your coven can use. The problem is if it's not going to be on their turn, you need to specify a trigger condition for the reaction.
I think it's along the lines of on a creature on their turn can use their reaction to give another creature to allow another creature to do one of the things from the.
Okay, so yeah, maybe like any member of your coven can use a reaction on their turn to grant one of the following benefits to another member of the coven within 30 feet of them that they can see.
Okay. And then we'll just come up with
and then just a short list of possible bonuses.
Yeah.
Okay. I was looking here. There's another coven benefit of the Hag-guy where you can see where the Hag-guy is. You could definitely extrapolate that to you can see what other people in the coven see, which would be kind of interesting as well.
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe you can use it for anyone who's within 30 feet of another member of the coven, even if they're not within 30 feet of you.
Oh yeah, that'd be interesting. So like you could in theory like spread out the party.
That's the thing. As long as you're connected by a chain of members of the coven.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. I was reading the Hag-eye stuff. So, a member of the coven can use their reaction, their turn, to grant one of the following benefits to another member of the coven that they can see within 30 feet of them. What are some of the benefits we're thinking of?
I was thinking two easy ones would be like a mild speed increase and maybe like disadvantage on the next attack against them.
Ooh, okay.
So what do you mean by speed increase? Like, do they think?
I'm saying like maybe it'd just be like their speed increases by 5 or 10 feet until the end of their next turn.
Okay, that's a good one. I was thinking. I was thinking of something along the lines of like allowing another creature to like teleport up to like 15 to 20 feet. Or do we think that might be a little too strong?
Well, we haven't indicated yet that there's going to be any limitation on this other than just it takes your reaction. And so I want to we would need to keep it on the weak side if this is something that your entire party can do every turn.
Okay. So then I think another simple one is just kind of giving the inverse of the disadvantage.
Advantage on their next attack.
Yeah. Until the end of their next turn.
Right. Advantage on the next attack they would make before the end of their next turn. Oh, I wasn't even thinking speed increases by 10 and the next attack against you has disadvantage. I was just thinking of those as two separate possibilities.
Oh, okay.
Just because I'm trying to keep these pretty weak, since they're things that you can all give each other every turn, you know?
No, I'm not going to go with that. I was thinking something along the lines of like very minuscule amounts of temp HP, but we don't, as we have talked about before,
the more sources of temp HP you add, the worse they all get. Yeah, but I mean, maybe
which I disagree with, but
I mean, what would D4 temp HP really be that busted here?
So what is the goal of the Covenant combat? Because we're kind of spreading out in a lot of different ways of what the benefits can be. We have speed increase, we have a defensive increase, we have an offensive increase, and then temp would be another defensive increase. It seems kind of all over the place, like the type of flavor we want.
I think I would like it to focus on defense.
Yeah.
Like, I think I would like it to be focused on sort of protecting each other. So maybe remove the speed increase then. Because, like, I think disadvantage and temp HP are both, like, solid defensive options. I think having one option that is
aggressive.
Aggressive is fine, because, like, in D&D, the best defense is a good offense most of the time. But I think that how many options do we think this should have? Should it just be like 3 options, or do we want to have 4? Because, like, I'm not sure what another defensive option would be that, one, wouldn't stack in busted ways if you were to, for example, all give your reaction to one member of the party. Because, like, we couldn't have like a 1 point AC increase, because you could all use your reaction to give the paladin +1 AC or something. Like, that would be kind of stupid and strains against bounded accuracy. But, like, beyond an attack against you has disadvantage, you get just a tiny bit of temp HP. I'm not sure how we can increase your defensive capabilities with something like this.
Hold on, I am going to look up a subclass that's pretty similar to this idea. I'm going to go with the Unity Cleric and see what types of bonuses they... Wait, was Unity never published?
No,
I think it was published as the Peace Cleric.
Oh, Peace?
I think. I believe so, because I don't...
Oh, yeah, Emboldening Bond. Okay, so...
I know that one got renamed like 3 times. It was originally the Love Cleric.
Oh, yeah, it's all... Okay, so there are 3 bonds that they end up getting. The first one is a creature within 30 feet of you, any bonded creature within 30 feet of another, so very similar to what we have. The creature can roll a d4 and add the number rolled to an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw it makes. Each creature can add a d4 no more than once per turn. And that can be used a number of times equal to the proficiency bonus. And then there's Protective Bond, which is when a creature affected by your Emboldening Bond feature is about to take damage. A second bonded creature with 30 feet can use its reaction to teleport to an occupied space within 5 feet of that first creature, and the second creature takes all the damage instead. Oh, it's really similar to the spell that I made. And then Expansive Bond. The benefits of Emboldening Bond and Protective Bond features now work when the creatures are within 60 feet of each other, and then moreover, the Protective Bond to take someone else's damage. The creature has resistance to that damage. That's pretty cool. I think that Hags definitely work a little bit more less altruistically.
Right, that's the thing. They may still be protecting each other, but they're not going to be jumping in front of attacks.
I think this should work more like debuffs to the enemy to the Covenant as opposed to buffs to the Covenant itself, personally. I think
Okay,
that would
so
fit
maybe
more.
maybe not use your reaction to give other members of the coven a boon, but maybe like use your reaction to give a bane to one of your enemies.
Yeah, a bane to your enemy when it comes to the covenant in some way.
I think we should also make a statement that says that a creature cannot be affected by the same type of
Oh, just like make it explicitly not stack.
yeah, so that
A,
way
a
like
creature cannot gain the benefits of. A creature cannot gain more than one of these benefits at one time.
I wouldn't say that. I would say maybe
Well, but you already can't gain the same benefit from something with the same name
well
twice.
then that kind of nullifies your like point about like, oh, AC stacking on the paladin.
You're right. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about that originally, but yeah, that's the thing. So I don't think we need to say that you can't stack them because you already can't stack effects that have the same name. So if you're worried about putting a bunch of different effects on one person, we would want to say you can't benefit from more than one of these effects at any one time.
I'm
But
not too concerned about like putting different effects on one creature.
I mean, we could just do the inverse of the emboldening bond. The emboldening bond is while a bonded creature with 30 feet of you makes one of these checks to get a D4, we can make it that if one of these checks is made against that creature, you deduct a D4 or something like that. So, like, if there's a contested ability check or an attack roll, there is a D4 deduction to the opposing person's ability check or attack roll.
I don't know. I'm just not sure about because for that to work, you need to, at least with the way we've been like sketching the coven up so far, you would need to then select the opponent that you want to get that bane.
No. When a creature of the coven is attacked, you can use your reaction to deduct
subtract a D4 from the attack roll. Okay. Actually, yeah, I think that's cool. Yeah, whenever a member of the coven is attacked, or whenever you can see a member of the coven being attacked, or no, is being attacked the right verbiage there for 5e?
When a member of the coven is targeted by an attack.
When a member of the coven is targeted by an attack within 30 feet of you that you can see, you can use your reaction to subtract a D4 from the attack roll.
Yeah.
Or to cause the creature to subtract 1d4 from its attack roll. However the fuck it needs to be worded to work like consistently with Bane.
Here, let me just straight up copy and paste the cleric stuff and just edit the when oh what the fuck?
So we're essentially kind of changing the first level feature of this cleric to be the 6th level feature for this.
We're sort of making it a mirror image. Whereas the cleric
we can buff it a little bit more if you're worried about the fact that we're making a 1st level feature to a 6th level feature. That's your word.
Yeah. I'm a little bit concerned by that.
Well, but also, this feature is essentially giving every member of your coven a D4 on top of their AC, which is a lot stronger than a D4 on top of your attacks.
Yeah. And the bond for the peace domain only lasts for 10 minutes, where this is at least what I was thinking, a whole day.
Yeah, that's fair, but also 10 minutes is still a long time, especially.
But it's only one encounter.
That's the thing. 10 minutes is all of a combat, but it's only one combat. Whereas the coven,
actually, well, to be fair, the cleric can use it multiple times per day.
Oh, is it their channel divinity or something?
No, it's they can use it a number of times equal to the proficiency bonus.
And
okay,
also,
well then
there is plenty of like dungeon crawling where you are, like, especially if you're going through like a cave, you clear out one room of the cave, and then you see that there's another room. You go in and you still have the same effect that lasts for 10 minutes.
Sure. Okay. I mean, yeah, we can still buff this further though, but also
I think that the skeleton.
And also, I think that the Peace Cleric's level 1 feature is bordering on too strong, so the fact that this is a nerf of it isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Let's see here. So,
well,
yeah, because that's a really good 1st level ability.
Yeah, that's the thing. That is a very good first level ability.
It's a free party bless that affects all D20 rolls effectively.
Yeah.
Which is pretty nice. Though it does specify that it can only add a D4 once per turn.
But that's per creature, so
yeah,
everybody can still use it.
Anyway, the creature is when I feel like we should have a better name or a better verbiage for this than a creature in the coven.
I've been saying a member of the coven.
I think a member works out. I think a member works a lot better.
When a member in the coven is targeted by an attack, you can use, or when a member in the coven, I shouldn't say you, should I?
No, you shouldn't. Whenever a member of the coven sees another member being targeted by an attack, they can use their reaction to cause the attacker to subtract a d4 from the attack roll. It's a little wordy, but... Well, and that's another way that we're buffing it, Justin. You can proc this more than once per turn if multiple people can see the thing that's happening.
Use their reaction.
True.
I will note that the cleric ability does not consume a reaction to use.
True. Yeah, so that is another nerf.
It's just the creature chooses whenever they want to use it, which is interesting.
Well, I like to imagine it as something along the lines of a creature's like, "Oh yeah, I'm pretty confident I'm going to land this attack roll, but I'm not so confident about climbing up this wall here, so I'm going to save the D4 for that."
No, that probably would be too... No, never mind. I was thinking maybe... because this is kind of a passive, whereas this is using your reaction. I was thinking maybe you can make it a passive that depends on how many creatures are around you, but that seems like it'd be too crunchy.
Yeah.
How many of my teammates are within 30 feet of me?
Right. How many of my teammates are within 30 feet of me? Now let me look that up on a table to see what that actually does for me.
Oh, well, I wouldn't make it that kind. I'd probably just make it like a +1 per, like a D4 per or something, but that does seem like too much. Remember, the coven sees another member attacked by or targeted by an attack, they can use their reaction to roll a D4 and what's the deduct?
Subtract the result.
Yeah. Or reduce the result, right? Is that what the
no? Because you're subtracting the result of the D4 from the attack roll.
How does Bane phrase it? Yeah, I think
Bane,
it's reduce.
No, Bane says subtract the number rolled. Yeah.
Subtract the number rolled from the result. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. So reaction to do that. Go on.
So what I was gonna say, this is, I mean, it's not entirely trinket text, but it's niche enough that I think we can add it for basically free on the ability. Any member of your coven can cast sorcerer spells using spell slots available to them.
They're pretty dope.
It gives you like the sort of spell sharing nature of the Hag coven. Only in one direction. Your other members aren't sharing spells with you, but I think it would be very complicated to come up with verbiage for all, like, any spells prepared or known by any of the members of the coven. I think that if we just say members of the coven can cast sorcerer spells using spell slots available to them.
Yeah, I'll actually add that.
Yeah, that does kind of drag it a little bit for non-spellcasters, but
the thing is, it doesn't actually drag it down for non-spellcasters, because this is literally just a bonus that we're tacking on to an ability that we already had.
True.
Yeah.
Imagine your paladin.
With
Shield of Faith,
or
casting shield on himself,
Or how about this, to make it not so much of a drag for non-spellcasters? Members of your coven with no spell slots gain some bonus, some flat bonus. That way, your fighter can benefit from it, but also if your warlock runs out of spell slots, it's no longer it's not like a complete detriment. It's, oh, I don't have any spell slots left. That means I get whatever bonus.
I was gonna say maybe let non-spellcasters
Use
No,
a
never mind.
cantrip.
I was gonna say maybe let them use a first level spell. But I don't know.
I think allowing them to use a cantrip that I think that's fair.
Honestly, letting members of your coven use your cantrips, I don't think that'd be busted. Sorcerers get good but not great cantrips.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
well, and also, your fighter is not built to be casting Firebolt every turn, but if he's in a bad position one turn and can get benefit from it, that's cool.
just going
Members of this coven.
Let me look up the wording of Fey Touched to see.
But Adam, if a sorcerer has True Strike, that might be too strong.
Actually, no. If your sorcerer knows True Strike and gives it to everyone else in the party, that is literally a strict negative. You are worse for being able to cast True Strike than you were when you had no spells available to you.
Huh. I didn't realize that sorcerers didn't get Toll the Dead. Interesting.
What is that? Just Warlock, Cleric, Wizard?
I believe so. Warlock, Wizard. Yeah. Yep.
Cast your sorcerer cantrips using their charisma modifier.
Charisma
That's a fair
plus,
way to nerf it.
I think charisma plus the proficiency modifier.
Absolutely not.
No?
That would be a strict improvement if you've got other charisma casters in your party.
As their spellcasting ability. Or can cast your sorcerer cantrips. Cantrips they cast in this way. Or their charisma modifier. Or
Their charisma as their spellcasting ability, not modifier.
Yeah. Let's so I think we got a good skeleton for this. I kind of want to move on to what we want to think for these higher level abilities before we actually
nail this down.
Yeah, massage this out. I want to get just a strong idea of what we want the class to be and what its leveled abilities are going to be, and they can work out more of the kinks and like the deeper ideas we want to do, because these could change drastically after we get done. I just want to be clear about what we want to do at each level.
Sure.
So I love the Covenant 6th level, but we got to think of higher level stuff now.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one is 14th level?
Yeah, they get features at 14th and 18th. So for the Aberrant Mind, which I keep going back just because it's, I think, the most recently published sorcerer, like that and Clockwork Soul.
Yeah.
The Aberrant Mind, their 14th level ability is it's not exactly a stance, but it's basically a stance. You use a bonus action, spend a sorcery point, and gain a benefit for 10 minutes.
Yo, this is badass.
Yeah, dude, the Aberrant Mind Sorcerer's 14th level ability is incredible. Let's see, what's the 14th level?
For the Clockwork Soul, it's also kind of a stance.
Yeah, it's also a stance, but it's the one that attacks against you can't benefit from advantage. And whenever you make an attack ability check or saving throw, your minimum roll is a 10.
Oh, every 14th ability is kind of like a transformation.
Oh, are they all like that?
Not Shadow Walk, never mind. But the Dragon, the Divine Soul, the Aberrant Mind, the Clockwork all have like a transformation at 14th level.
Interesting.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the
Storm doesn't, and Wild Magic doesn't. So about half of them.
But it's definitely a pattern.
I think it's something to think about for this. I think maybe like some sort of like Because, like I said, part of the lore of hags is that they do look like maybe some sort of horrifying visage kind of stance
So,
for the hag.
What if what if the hag, like, maybe it's a slightly weaker stance, but you can give it to any member of your coven? Like, you
Ooh.
still have to activate it, and this would let us sort of tack things onto the coven without necessarily strictly, like, adding onto it in the 14th and 18th level abilities. Just saying, like, oh, you can do this to yourself or any member of your coven.
That could be interesting. I just want to read what is the horrifying appearance for the sea hag. Any creature that's or any human that starts to turn within 30 feet of the hag and sees it transform is frightened for a minute on a failed save.
my issue, my issue with like a lot of this, because I think it would be cool to have like a sort of frightening thing with the hags. A lot of monsters at
I'm
higher
not
level.
I have absolutely no interest in imposing the frightened condition. I just want to use
Yeah.
the flavor of horrifying visage. We can do
Okay.
some other condition, just the flavor would be horrifying.
Right.
It doesn't have to literally frighten them. Because I would never give a 14th level ability the ability to frighten people, barbarian berserker. Just seems like a waste of time. Um, I think it's like 10th level berserk or something like that, but it's too high of a level for that.
Yeah, it's a high enough level that it's worthless.
So yeah, I think what benefits. So I think that maybe we should give creatures that start to turn within like a certain distance some sort of debuff, and then I think I like the idea of allowing it to pass through your coven as well. I think that's a cool idea.
So, like, as a bonus action on your turn, you can spend 1 sorcery point to gain one of the following benefits, or to give one of the following benefits to a member of your coven.
Ooh, that's an interesting way of doing it. You could spend a sorcery point.
Well, because
Good
that's how
idea.
the Aberrant Mind Sorcerer does it.
Oh, does
Also,
it? Cool.
Yeah, but so what they've got is they've got a list of 4, and you can stack them, but you have to activate them on, like, subsequent turns.
well, no, you can spend more sorcery points when you
Oh,
cast it.
I guess I
Yeah.
didn't read the whole thing.
You can
That's my
spend one
fault.
or more sorcery points. Come on, linguistics major.
Hey, listen, I can't fucking read.
I can't read. I'm just a linguistics major.
Oh, for each sorcery point you spend, you can gain one of the following benefits of your choice, the effects of which last until the transformation ends. Oh, so you don't activate it on subsequent turns. You can just spend a number of sorcery points to determine how many benefits you gain. Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Ooh. What if the visage? Okay, maybe it doesn't have to be literally horrifying, but what if it's some sort of mutation to the body that is like body horror? So like maybe you grow extra eyes and become immune to blindness or something, or like some stuff like that. It doesn't have to be literally that thing, but like some sort of transformation in the body that gives them some sort of special power.
That's kind of cool.
You know, I thought that all hags would be immune to charmed condition. Guess I'm just wrong.
Yeah, they're surprisingly diverse in like their damage and condition immunities and resistances.
Yeah.
Where are there more hags at? Because there's only the 3 in.
There's some in Volos and there's some in Eberron. Or there's one in Eberron, I should say.
I think there's also a couple of, like, specific hag stat blocks in some adventures. Because I think there's a named hag in Curse of Strahd.
Yeah, there is. There's also a hag in Candlekeep, but I don't have that.
I do.
Is there just the one hag in fucking Volos?
No, there's
2.
There's Annis and Björ. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Oh, I see.
I would have guessed Burr, but I don't know. I don't know what language that's coming from. Oh man, I do like that the Burr has 3 different covens for their shared spellcasting.
Oh, that is cool.
But anyways, we were thinking of benefits to give for the 14th level feature. Sort of like
Ooh. What if this is kind of weird. What if one of the benefits is like your body is like covered in mouths and like they whisper, and that makes it so it's impossible to tell if you're casting a verbal spell? It's very specific and kind of weird.
Very
that
specific,
is very specific.
but I like it.
That's the thing.
It's another spell casting specific one.
Yeah, it is. Oh, what about you mentioned the covenant, like the Hag Eye earlier. What if one of the benefits is creatures within 60 feet of you can't benefit from invisibility?
Oh yeah, I mean that's a
Or
pretty
like,
decent thing for 14th level.
yeah.
I mean, there's literally witch sight for the warlock, which nullifies illusions and shapeshifters.
Right. Yeah, and that's one of the high level invocations, right? You have to be like level 10 for that? Or is that 14?
I think it might be 14.
Yeah, that might be one of the 14 ones. Some of the 14th level warlock invocations, I'm like, that seems too high. But some of them, I'm like, that's definitely appropriate.
Yeah.
Like invisibility at will, it's like, yeah,
that's a pretty
you
good
should
one.
make me wait for that one. But yeah, no, like I think creatures within 60 feet of you can't benefit from invisibility would be a good boon to offer.
15th
what?
level. But
15th level, yes.
So I think the thing that I'm just a little concerned about is the fact that that is exactly the same thing as the first thing for the Aberrant Mind Sorcerer.
Oh fuck, is it? I didn't even read all of these.
You can see any invisible creature within 60 feet of you, provided it isn't behind total cover.
Damn, I didn't. Okay, I meant to crib this Aberrant Mind Sorcerer like structurally. I did not mean to like literally copy these abilities.
Literally, this is the exact same flavors I was going for too, with like the body horror stuff.
Yeah.
Damn.
All right, let's abandon that then. Let's abandon that flavor for it. I do like the idea of granting your coven's abilities though with the sorcery point. We just gotta think of.
Gotta think of abilities worth granting.
Yeah, cooler ones.
Sorry, I'm just going over these new hags. Just trying to get a better crushing hug. Jesus.
Honestly, a lot of the hags, like most of their most of the work of like, oh, how are they going to fight? Like, what abilities do they have? Is down to their spells.
Yeah, they do all have their own unique like action. It's cool, but there's not like, besides the like the general themes of all the hags, there's not any like thing that they all have in common. Even like I said earlier, the damage resistances and condition resistances or immunities are pretty diverse.
What if one of the benefits is at the end of each of your turns, you become invisible until the start of your next turn?
Ooh, interesting. So you don't.
You don't gain any of the benefits during your turn, so you don't get like advantage on your attacks or anything, but you do gain the defensive benefits of being invisible.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean the biggest thing is just straight disadvantage on attack rolls against you.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, and you aren't even really.
But not attacks opportunity.
Right, that's the thing. You would still get attacks of opportunity against yourself, and unless you hide, everyone still knows where you are. You turned invisible at the end of your turn. So, like, it's not huge, but it's pretty good, I think. Especially as one of a set of options.
Yeah. It would be that has become a little bit interesting in an out-of-combat scenario, for where you're just like, you're sneaking in a place that you shouldn't be, and then all of a sudden there are, like, guards or like a patrol or something like that just happens to walk by, and you're just like, oh shit, how long am I invisible for?
I kind of want. Okay, I want to step back and think about this possibility, because I do like. Because I mentioned the hag guy earlier. I like the idea of being able to just see out of each other's eyes at all times. So, like, for instance, what kind of benefits does that give? Not only would you be able to like see what and hear what they hear like at a distance, but also like if two of you are by each other, you're immune to blind if you're not all blind, or stuff like that, or immune to deaf if you're not all deaf.
I think something along the lines of, as long as
And
one
creatures can't benefit
member.
from visibility from you because you have like your conglomerate senses to pinpoint where they are.
I think that we might just need to like actually spell that out, but I totally think that there's language you could use to the effect of all members of your coven can share their senses while they're within distance X of each other. I'm very fond of the phrasing that is, but like they're what's the transition we should actually use? Fuck it, I don't know. But then saying like
As long as
you can still see as long as if you are affected by blindness, you can still see as long as one member of your coven is unaffected.
Yeah.
I think a better verbiage for that is, as long as one member of your coven can see, then you can't.
I think the easiest way would be you. I was gonna. I had a different idea, but then I kind of went back on it. I was gonna
The
say,
problem is it can't be a condition immunity
yeah,
because if you all succumb to it at once, it would still affect you all.
yeah. I was gonna say, I was originally going to say that a creature is not obscured from you if it's not obscured from like another coven member or something like that. But then that doesn't really apply to like invisibility, which is just you can't see, you're not obscured, and it doesn't affect
Honestly,
blindness.
wait, what if we just say you can see and hear anything that any member of your coven can see and hear?
That was my original thought. Yeah.
Because like then you can still be affected by the blindness condition, but you still see the things that the other members of your coven see. You are blind, but you can still see what they see.
Yeah. I'm gonna just go write this down real quick.
I'm going through more spells.
Okay.
So I'm gonna do this as like a second level 14 ability.
Sure, yeah.
You can see and hear anything another member of your coven.
Maybe we should add within 60 feet of you there, since we explicitly allowed you to just add anyone to your coven as long as you can think of them. So for the senses thing, we probably want it to be restricted by like 60 feet or so.
Sure. I'm gonna do 120 feet, like the familiar spell.
Perfect. Yeah. I
Anything.
couldn't remember how long you could. I couldn't remember the distance on familiar. So
another member.
Can only clerics
granted, they are within 120 feet of you. Creatures that can be heard by more than one member of your coven cannot benefit from invisibility. Just an additional touch.
Yeah.
What about one of the third level spells being Speak with Dead? Sort of.
It's pretty witchy.
Yeah, fits with kind of like the dark energies, or like the dark magic, trying to learn the kind of like folklore of areas and shit like that.
Sure. I was thinking blight. I was thinking blight for a 4th level spell.
Blight's pretty witchy.
Yeah.
And it's a decent combat option.
Speak with Dead. Speak with Dead.
Yeah, funnily enough, only clerics know that spell.
So this is what I wrote down. You can see and hear anything another member. You can see or hear anything another member of your coven can see or hear, granted they are within 120 feet of you. Creatures that can be heard by more than one member of your coven cannot benefit from invisibility. Cannot benefit from invisibility against your coven, against members of your coven. There's a better way to phrase this I'm not thinking of right now.
Don't gain the benefits of invisibility, I think is the way it's
There we
normally
go.
phrased.
Don't gain the benefits of invisibility against membership code. Cool.
For the 5th level spell, what about I'm thinking maybe seeming for one of them.
Let me look.
That is
Let me
a
go to
pretty.
Seeming.
That is a pretty like coven-y advancements to disguise self.
Right, yeah.
Oh.
I think there might be. I think that's a good starting point. There might be 2 other better spells for 5th level. I don't know though.
Let's see. What other options at 5th level? Gios, Legend Lore, Insect Plague.
Insect Plague's pretty decent.
Cloud Kill? Really? Oh.
I'm gonna put Insect Plague for right now because I think that's a pretty
Okay.
witchy spell.
Contagion, also an option.
Ooh, a lot of disease spells at 5th level apparently.
Yeah.
Contact Other Plane and Scrying are both on a few hag lists.
Oh man,
those are.
Those are all really good options. Holy shit.
Raise Dead, Tree Stride.
Oh man, I'm gonna remove Insect Plague and Seeming. I think there's 2 options, and the ones you just listed I think are better than both of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what they are, but a lot of those sounded better to me.
Yeah. I think
I personally am a huge fan of Gios as a spell.
Yeah, I think Gios is a great spell. I think that definitely fits well with the hag because Gios, just to confirm, Gios is the one where it's like follow this command or you will
or you take 5d10 psychic damage every time you act counter to their instructions.
That feels very haggy to me.
Yeah, I think Gios is very appropriate here.
I'm gonna write that for right now because I think that's a pretty strong contender.
I think we should. I think for the other 5th level spell, I think it should be probably a good combat spell.
If we're looking for a combat spell,
because as nice as it would be to kind of give them 2 out of combat spells for it, would kind of feel a little bit bad not giving them a good like.
I mean, but the thing is, these are spells just in addition to your regular spell list. So you can then, if you get 2 great utility spells at 5th level, that means you can focus your 5th level choices on combat. But I agree with what you're saying. It is kind of a feel bad when it's like, neither of these are really any good in combat. What's up with that?
Yeah. Like, I guess I can use both of these spells. One time in the
dominate
campaign.
Person.
Ooh.
That's both haggy and combat viable.
I don't want to give them both Gios and Dominate Person though, because they're both like the same kind of flavor of like forcing someone to your bidding. I prefer Gios. I think Gios is a much more evocative spell.
Yeah, Gios is the cooler of the 2. What else do we have at 5th level? For combat viable, we've got Contagion, we've got Insect Plague, we've got Cloud Kill.
Those are all really good deadly options.
Contagion, Insect Plague. Legend Lore is not exactly combat viable. It's looking like Contagion, Insect Plague, and Cloud Kill. I'm just looking at 5th level spells that are on hag spell lists in the books.
Let me look at Insect Plague.
Insect Plague's good.
I think I like Insect Plague so far.
Yeah, I think Insect Plague's a really good one.
Here we go.
I'll just write Insect Plague for right now.
Okay, yeah, we can always come back to it later.
I like Cloud Kill and I like Contagion, but something about insects. Really creepy.
Insects feels a lot better.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's move on from spells for right now because we have one 14th level feature. I think that we have a good idea for the other 14th level that we can work out the kinks for. I like the idea of using a bonus action to grant some sort of benefit to you and your coven members, or your coven members. What do we want the capstone for this to be?
ooh,
That's tough. I always feel like there's so much pressure to come up with a good capstone just because of how shitty most of the capstones are. In the PhD.
I agree. Though, I mean, looking at the Aberrant Mind, because it's been our example for a lot of these, it's actually a pretty simple feature.
I was saying it's definitely strong, but like it's pretty straightforward. Like, you teleport a good distance, and then everything near the space that you left makes a save or takes 3d10 damage. Like, it's pretty straightforward. It's not like
it is. You can use it once per long rest, or spend 5 source points to use it again.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
What's the Clockwork Souls capstone?
What if we did something along the lines of creating a curse?
Creating a curse?
Yeah.
So maybe some sort of like enhancement to bestow curse?
Yeah. Because I think... Because bestow curse also, it just goes away after you're done concentrating on it, right?
So you're talking...
It does, though if you cast it high enough, it doesn't have concentration anymore, and it just lasts forever.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Oh, if you cast it at 9th level. Got it.
Yeah. I do like the idea of cursing. But I don't know how to best translate to a capstone feature.
Yeah.
I think a clever way of cursing could have been something we definitely could have done at like 6th level. Because that's the level after you get bestow curse. The 18th level, I don't know what you could do with cursing that is like capstone worthy. I think there might be something. I'm just not thinking of it.
I was thinking something. I was thinking something along the lines of like multiple things, like pulling from like multiple different like curses that we have in it, or like other spells through it. Like, so pull something from like bestow curse, pull something from like contagion.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Pull like one of the pull like blindness, deafness.
I don't know. I feel like that. I like the thought of like the capstone being a like really like earth-shattering curse that you land on just like one target, but like what you're describing and what you would need to do to make a single target curse really feel capstone worthy feels just kind of kitchen sinky to me. Like, it just feels like, well, let's tack on all these effects because you need that many effects for it to be worth it on a single target 18th level feature, you know? Because it's either going to be that or massive damage, and massive damage doesn't exactly feel like a curse, you know?
Right.
I don't mean to say that it's not a good idea, because I do like it thematically. It just, I'm having trouble envisioning what a successful implementation of that would look like as an 18th level feature.
Right.
What if instead of a curse, what if it was... I'm trying to think of a way that you could like empower your spells by like being part and parcel of a coven. Like, what if
you could have it
what if go on, Shawn.
I say you could have it like depending on how many creatures of your coven are around, it like just increases the spell slot of your spells, something like that. Be a really
That's kind of
it.
That's kind of what I was thinking. I was thinking something like maybe like whenever another member of your coven sees you casting a spell, they can use their reaction to like bump up the spell slot by a level or something.
What if you reduce the cost of all of your meta magics by the number of coven members within 30 feet of you?
Oh, hell yeah. So that your cheap meta magics you can use for free as long as you're in your coven, and your expensive
Yeah.
ones you can use cheaper. Um, maybe instead of just reduced by the number, maybe it should be like reduced by 1 if there's any members of your coven within 30 feet of you, and reduced by 2 if there's 3 or more members of your coven
Yeah,
within
that
30
way
feet
it's
of
not
you.
too many at once. Because you could, in
Right,
theory,
yeah.
reduce all your mana magic by 5, which is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, which in theory you would literally not have. You would never fucking have to cast. Like you could just cast meta magics at fucking will.
The only ones that would still require you to use spell points is if you were trying to twin a 6th level or higher spell.
Or Quicken a high level spell as well, right? Because Quicken's also a spell level, isn't it?
I thought Quicken was flat. I thought Quicken was flat but expensive.
It's just flat. It is
Oh, really?
just
Wow.
flat. It
I
is
think
sorcery
Twin.
points.
I think Twin is the only one that scales like that. It
It
does Empowered as well.
equal to the spell's level. Empowered does not.
Okay, maybe it's just twinned then. But either way, I think that like reducing by 1 if there's 1 or 2 members next to you, or 2 if there's 3 or more, is still a very strong bonus.
Yeah, like
Then my question would be: do we want 30 feet to be the distance? Because that is quite a bit of distance. I thought there was more meta magics that scaled like that, but I guess I was wrong about that.
The thing is, 30 feet is kind of a lot of. What were you saying, Justin?
I think it's even just a little short.
Really?
I don't think 30 feet is short, but well, the thing is, you're a sorcerer. You have the smallest hit die of anyone in the game. So you are pretty squishy. You are not exactly incentivized to be on the front line. So if other members of your coven are close to you, that means you're in a group on the back line, or you're in a group on the front line. And like either situation, I see like, because if you're in a group on the back line, the enemy is probably closing on you. And if you're in a group on the front line, then you're taking hits. So like I think that 30 feet is probably fine.
Yeah.
Because like you're not so far away that like nobody can hit you. But I don't know. I think 30 feet's probably fine there.
Yeah. I'll just write it down for now. I think there might be other ways you could tweak it. I was thinking maybe also you could have like a method that involves the coven that just regains you spell points, which is like it would have the same effect of like letting you use more magic over time.
Oh, sure. Like at the beginning of your turn, if this many members of your coven are within 30 feet of you, regain some number of sorcery points.
Yeah, something like that.
Well,
which
we gotta
actually
be careful with that because you can
turn sorcery points into spell slots. Yes, but it's worth thinking about at least. It's an option.
That's the thing. That's a different downside.
Yeah, a sorcery point discount is dangerous because it lets you do stuff for free, but regaining sorcery points is dangerous because you can turn those into spell slots.
I think the discount.
Actually, you know what? We might want to put some kind of limitation on this so that it can't be done out of combat. It might need to be a stance that you enter. I mean, although I think that would only be necessary if we do go with the sorcery point regaining route, because otherwise you could just say, "Oh, well, I'm regaining sorcery points constantly and turning them into spell slots, and I'm casting Wish 7 times a day."
Well,
yeah, I was thinking
can't get it that extreme. You can only get up to 5th level spells, but
oh right, yeah, sorry,
but
I'm casting Dios 7 times a day.
Yeah, I was the way I was thinking about it is if like a coven member, you would regain something if something bad happened to a coven member or something.
Oh sure.
That way you couldn't just like cheese it outside of combat like all willy nilly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll just keep it as a discount for now. I think the limit to 2 is a good idea. So I'm gonna write when you what is the verbiage for using meta magic? Just using? When you use a meta magic. That seems wrong.
Let me read the sorcerer stat block.
While a member. Or
you can use only one meta magic option on a spell when you cast it. The stat block doesn't really refer to using meta magic ever, though.
it sounds like when you use a meta magic option, you reduce the cost. You reduce the sorcery point cost. You reduce the number of sorcery points lost.
Spent is
Yes,
the verbiage they use.
You reduce the number of sorcery points spent by 1 if 3 or more members of your coven are within 30 feet of you. Oh, actually, you know what I should say? Well, a member of your coven's within 30 feet of you and is not incapacitated.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I still feel a little bit worried about it being such a short range because of how small a sorcerer's health pool is, but
The thing is, this is a very powerful ability.
Yeah. I think 30 feet might be too big of a range, personally, but because think about like Rhaegon's efficiency in his placement during the Smizzano fight. He only had a 30-foot range, but he covered a lot of distance with that 30-foot range. It's bigger than you think. And if you're not playing in a big open field with a bunch of archers and shit, like a lot of stuff's really close quarter.
Unless you're playing on a wide open field designed to like let archers really shine, like 30 feet is going to cover most of the distance you need to cover.
Can I just gripe real quick about some of the verbiage in 5e? They need a word that means not incapacitated. They should just say capable or something. So you don't have to write and are not incapacitated. And just say capable creatures. Or
right, so you can just put an adjective. Yeah.
I hate it because I'll have like effects where it's like it's a bunch of conditions, but also not incapacitated. It makes it feel so much more clunky just because you add that additional caveat.
I wish that there was just like a tag for aware or something. Like
This part of the show is sponsored by 5e. Why do you guys make them gripe about something once an episode?
Because something that I realized actually. That we always talk about as kind of a gripe is the name of concentration checks. How it's a constitution saving throw, but it's a concentration check. The phrase concentration check does not appear in the rules ever. That is a community given name.
You make a constitution saving throw to maintain concentration.
Yes, there is no such thing as a concentration check as written in the rules. That's just how we refer to it.
Right, because the rules say you may be required to make a constitution saving throw to maintain concentration when any of the following occurs. And like damage is just one in a long list of things that can cause you to make concentration checks. Like one of the things on the list is like, oh, you're on a boat that's like in rough waters and like you're making concentration checks for that. Except it doesn't call them that. It calls them constitution saving throws to maintain concentration.
You lose concentration on a spell if you're incapacitated or if you die.
Well, if you're dead, you're incapacitated. But like for instance, if you go to like Warcaster doesn't say if you make a concentration based on damage. It says if you make a constitution saving throw to maintain concentration on a spell when you take damage.
Yeah.
They never use that phraseology. It's all that phraseology. When I say that phrase, I just think of Ben Shapiro. So I hate saying it. But when you use that phrase, it's something the community made up, and we've complained about it a couple of times because it's confusing. But it's just something that like the community made up. It has something to do with D&D.
It's a community shorthand that is like confusing people.
Wow, who would have thought the D&D community ruining the D&D community?
Damn Scots! They ruined Scotland.
Okay, so I think we've got a really good skeleton here. I think there's a lot of fine tuning. We still have to think about specifically what we want the benefits of a level 14 ability to be.
And what we want to name the subclass.
What we want to name the subclass for sure, what we want to name some of these features, and just figure out a couple more spells, and then we'll get the flavor figured out as well. But I think that's all stuff that could definitely be done off stream. They're really the only heavy lifting we have to do is figuring out what we want to do as level 14 ability.
Idea for the name.
Okay.
Hag-born.
Hag-born?
Hag-born.
Sure.
I think.
Well, yeah. I mean, sure. That's fine.
One of the things that just a slight gripe that I have about that is just the fact that because all hags are female, because they steal like baby girls and then like go through a fucked up process and then they give birth to a daughter.
Oh, so you're saying that a male hag-born sorcerer wouldn't make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, then add an E.
Yeah, what
on
are you
born.
talking about? The hag, the daughter that you just mentioned that is born, can just go have a kid. This is somebody who has hag blood in their system, not an actual hag. We're not making a hag. We're making someone who has some connection to hag in their soul and their blood in some way. Just like when you're making a sorcerer, you're not making a dragon. You're making somebody who has dragon blood in their system.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it could still be hag-born. I am a little bit hesitant about hag-born because it does make it sound like you're born of a hag as opposed to just like, having hag in your blood. But like, aberrant mind and all that stuff, like, it all makes sense to me.
I was trying to think of something involving like the word coven or covenant, but I couldn't think of anything. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like a good name goes a long way for a subclass.
It does. I agree. I think that there's something we can do there. I think it's definitely something that we're going to think about as well. The only thing I'm really worried about thinking about is finishing this level 14 feature. We really got to think about what we want this to be. It can't be as strong as it was because we gave this other feature to the level 14 feature as well.
Yeah.
Which I'm very fond of this other level 14 feature. So I definitely want to keep that. I think that one's as good as it can get.
Well, we've got a couple minutes here towards the end. Let's look at 2nd and 4th level spells that we might want to be on the list.
I've been combing through just trying to figure out some different stuff here.
At 2nd level, I think Ray of Enfeeblement would be a solid option. It's nothing flashy, but like it's on some hag spell lists and it's a decent offensive option.
Sorcerers don't get the spell to begin with? What the fuck?
What?
They don't get Ray of Enfeeblement.
Oh, yeah, no, it's just wizards and warlocks.
That's a
what
good
the
one,
fuck, wizards? What the fuck? Why do you hate sorcerers so much?
Hey, it's not sorcerers of the ghost.
What is this bullshit?
Let's look at 4th level spells. So wait, we've got Blight here, right? So we want maybe something that's a little less combat oriented. Not necessarily, but like actually there's not a ton of like utility at 4th level.
Yeah, I was half thinking greater invisibility because that is
Hey, what about Arcane Eye?
I think it would be a little redundant. I think greater invisibility is a good choice. It feels like a pretty classic choice though for a lot of these subclass spell lists.
Wait, does it?
Sickening Radiance? Oh no, that's not what I'm thinking. It just has the word sickening in it. In my mind, when I make subclasses, yes. Yeah, there's not a lot of 4th level spells, are there?
Yeah, no, that's what I was kind of thinking. There's just not a ton to work with at 4th level. What about Hallucinatory Terrain?
That's a pretty decent one. That I also saw. Hags are all about like their territory too. So I could totally see that one.
Yeah, I think Hallucinatory Terrain works. I think it also fits.
I think Polymorph's also a pretty classic one for witches.
Polymorph would be pretty good. Oh, what about Compulsion?
Oh yeah, Compulsion's pretty decent.
I mean, it's kind of a
But-
weaker version of Gios, which we're already giving them.
Yeah.
I like polymorph because I think that's the one thing that like isn't touched on too much in
Yeah,
like
the shape shifting.
in like
Yeah.
5e.
Yeah,
Well,
we can
not
do
even
polymorph.
not even like shapeshifting for like the hag itself, like turning
Like
someone
turning
else.
someone into a newt.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the thing people do with polymorph all the time.
Or turning
Well-
'Cause, like,
yourself
it-
into a cat, like Professor McGonagall.
Right.
Well, I meant sort of like a witch, like turning someone else into something. I don't think that happens too often, like in 5e, because none of the hags really have something like that.
I mean, isn't polymorph a touch spell?
No, it is not. It is a
Not?
30-foot range. Yeah. It's pretty fucking wild.
60 foot. Fuck.
60
I
foot,
understand.
wow.
I understand why Zach hates this spell so much.
It's a pretty weird spell. It could be stronger if it had the appropriate saving throw on it.
Which is
Charisma. Polymorph should be charisma. Fight me.
what is it now, Con?
wisdom.
It's wisdom.
Oh fuck! It should definitely not be wisdom. I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
I was like, at least
Con at least
con.
makes some sense because it's like, oh, your physical form is being changed.
Yeah.
Wisdom makes no fucking sense for that.
Wisdom
What
is
the
a
hell?
carryover from past editions, and I think they wanted it to be the strong save because of how powerful it is.
Sure.
So they had to choose, like, do we want to be a higher level, an appropriate save, or do we want it to be the same save, which doesn't make as much sense, but weaker?
Yeah.
Or lower level, I mean, not weaker.
I really like this subclass spell list.
I do too. It's a really good spell list. Unless
I think-
you expend a first level or higher spell slot.
Yeah, I think
Do
I-
so again.
I
We also need to add text explaining how subclass spells work because
Yeah, I'll be copy and pasting all that shit.
Okay, sweet.
And then we
Some
just gotta
more
fill in the
flavor
flavor,
stuff.
name some stuff, and finish this level 14 ability, and we're good on this one.
I
I-
really think that like subclass spells are very important to the class, and I think we've picked out some really good ones, both flavorfully and mechanically.
I agree. I think this is dope. Another little small mechanical thing that I wish Wizards kind of did. Not only do I wish they had these sorcerer spells from the very beginning, I also kind of wish they had like an ability to like cast these with a cheaper expense or something like that. That'd be kind of cool.
maybe it's like, these second level spells you only have to spend a first level spell slot on.
Yeah, or at the very least, like a first level spell slot and a sorcery point. So it's like
Right.
objectively cheaper to cast. That would have been cool. But
That
that's
would have
just
been
me.
neat.
All right. Well, I think that will be it for this week. We didn't decide what we were going to do next week before we started. Something that we say we're going to do every time that we never do.
We did it once.
We
We
did.
did it once.
We did.
That would require us to plan ahead and actually follow through on stuff.
Sometimes we do. The problem is that we don't do it consistently. So next week we could I don't know, do we
It's not Halloween anymore, so we don't have to do spooky stuff anymore.
Yeah, it's not Halloween anymore. What have we done the last couple of weeks? So
We did Fey Monsters. We did Cursed
Cursed
Magical
items.
Items.
we did
so
spooky subclasses today.
Spooky subclasses
um,
today. We finished Spooky Spells before we did Fey
Yeah.
Monsters. So we're pretty open to most things. Probably don't want to do subclasses again.
Yeah, and I was thinking maybe not do items again because as
Yeah.
cool as the cursed items were, we did just do items. What if we come up with
We could do
some
some like feats or something.
feats? Might be
Feats are
cool.
always
I was
fun.
thinking we did fey creatures. What if we did elemental creatures? Some maybe it's just a variant on an existing elemental, or like I don't know.
Oh,
Or doing like,
yeah.
you could do like hybrid elementals. Like, you know how there's the there's there's planes where it's like, oh, the overlap of the
Yeah.
elemental plane of fire
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
elemental plane of air
Yeah.
is like the elemental
Methods.
plane of smoke or something. Yeah, so you could do like an expanded set of elementals for like those border planes
Yeah,
between
like
the
methods.
elementals. Right,
Yeah,
like the
I like
methods. Or
That'd be
I
fun.
don't know, just do something, have some fun with elemental stat blocks. I will, of course, be coming with something
Aether?
related to the Aether, but I'll bring something else too.
Para Elementals, welcome, Guy Dawn. Unfortunately, you're catching us at the very end of the episode here.
This has
But
happened.
we're always happy to yeah, para elemental planes, that's what they're called. Thank you. That's yes, I could not remember the word. There was somebody on Reddit who was doing a series of like deep dives into the para elemental planes, and it was I got a lot of fun out of reading those. So that's kind of where I was coming from, suggesting that. But yeah, no, just come up with something cool to do with an elemental stat block, whether it's a new elemental, variant on an old elemental, expanding the elementals into the para elementals, just something elemental. I've said
Ooh,
elemental far too many times in the past 30 seconds.
ooh, I've got some
I'm
ideas
down.
cooking.
I'm down. I've done expansions on elementals in the past, and I'd be happy to bring them onto the podcast. So hell yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us this week. I apologize, Gooey Dawn, that you showed up at the very end. This is, I think, the second time in a while that this has happened. People just show up at the end of the podcast. But yeah, we finished.
We'd
up
be
today.
happy to have you back next week, though.
What you're seeing on the screen right now is a almost done subclass based on Hags for the Sorcerer that we are going to finish and post later. And next week we're doing our elemental expansions, doing our own elemental monsters. So be sure to catch us next week, Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until
Isn't
then,
it Eastern Daylight Time right now?
Standard.
whatever. Fuck stupid ass daylight savings bullshit. Until then, what's the phrase?
Well, I don't know what the phrase is, but today's word of the day is fundament. People know the word fundamental, but what they might not know is that fundament is a noun that fundamental is based on. Just means the foundation or the basis of something. Fundament.
Sounds fucking lame.
Well,
Wow.
you'll never get that. You'll never get far with that attitude about the fundamentals, Justin.
Why am I surrounded by
This
nerds
guy
at
wonders
all
why he's bad at Halo.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, with that, what is lost must be found, and what is found must be remembered. See you next